Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
So the past couple of days, I had considered kind of like re-evaluating what I was going to do in this video. But after some thoughts, I'm just going to stick the course. I'm going to keep this video on the topic that I wanted to talk about. Next week, I will do the other part of what I wanted to talk about as far as AEW goes. As far as more so of a rant that I just wanted to address about Tony Khan. And how it just, again, I'll say this. I still cannot say Tony Khan has stooped as low as Vince McMahon. But there's things happening recently that it's kind of, you want to say, Tony is becoming his own enemy. Because he is starting to do more and more things like Vince McMahon. But that video is going to be for another time. I want to focus on a not as ranting topic. Also, I just found before I record this video, today is Tony's 42nd birthday. So I don't despise Tony that much that I want to rant about him on his birthday. I will, though, criticize something booking that's been taking place in the main event scene since All In. And it's going to kind of tie into the main topic of this video that I want to just get my thoughts out there for. So, before I start this video, let me just make something clear here, okay? I am not at all dissing on Jon Moxley in this video. I made a video years ago saying how I view Jon Moxley personally as a hero. Because you see the character on TV, and then you hear these interviews he has. Like his one with, for Talk Is Jericho. Or, as far as him, checking in for alcohol rehab on his own terms. He did that all on his own. And just other things that shows that although he seems like a goofball or like a badass on TV, he actually genuinely, really wants to set an example for anybody. So, and again, he's a great wrestler. He's a great talent. I got nothing against the guy. So before there's any conclusions, I just want to get that out there. Jon Moxley, to me, is a hero. I have nothing against the guy. I am all for him being world champion. I literally am not trying to punish him. But I want to pitch something here. I want to just get some thoughts out here really quick. Is Jon Moxley, in this storyline, in this role he's in right now, is he the right one to end Bryan Danielson's career this coming Saturday at Wrestledream? Because I'm thinking, based off of how they've been booking Bryan as champion the past month since he won at All In, and Saturday they're in his home state, Tacoma, Washington. Well, he's from Aberdeen, but Tacoma, Seattle, they're all basically the same thing. I really think they're going to pull the plug on Bryan's career on Saturday. And I really think Jon Moxley is going to be the one to dethrone Bryan. However, though, why don't I want it to be Jon Moxley who ends Bryan's career on Saturday? Well, first off, why do I think for sure, besides the fact they're in the home state, that they're ending his career, that his final match is this Saturday? Because let's face it, since Bryan won the title at All In, they have been rushing all these big matches for him. Well, really, there's just two gigantic ones. Not saying his one with Jack Perry wasn't a big match. It was just a weird coincidence that they randomly gave the TNT champion a title shot, which, again, it only did it because Tony Khan knows Jack Perry's probably going to get the most heat out of anyone in Chicago because of CM Punk. Because Tony Khan, once again, cannot get over the fact that what happened with CM Punk. He can't. He can't let go, and that's how he gets heat on Jack Perry and the Young Bucks. The fact that it's gotten so old now, I said I would not rant on Tony, but I just did a little bit there, but take that back there. But yeah, they did the feud with Nigel McGuinness. Now, okay, I'm sorry. Let's rant a little bit about that. Let's rant about how that was rushed and how that booking made absolutely no sense. So first off, well, actually, okay, I'm bouncing around here a lot. Let's first talk about Jon Moxley and the state he's in right now. So, Jon Moxley returned after All In. He took a break after he dropped the IWGP Championship at, I believe it was Forbidden Doors when he dropped it. And he took like a 2-month break? Cool. He came back with this new heel character, which, other than whenever the BCC were heels, when they feuded with the Elite 2 years ago, or however long ago it was, I feel like Jon Moxley, as a single star, hasn't had a chance to really show his dark side as a heel. So this new gimmick where he's seemingly part of he's like some leader of some pack that's trying to bring in a mysterious figure to eventually take over AEW, which, newsflash, is probably going to be Shane McMahon. It interests me. His premise interests me. But it's still weird because we still have a heel stable with the Elite trying to run the company. So there's no way they're going to be heel versus heel, especially, what they're doing now, with Moxley saying, I don't want to do it, but I have to do it, to Bryan. He has to take the title from Bryan. He's the one who claims he has to, be in control of all this. So, okay, good premise. But then they have Jon Moxley challenge Darby Allin for his number one contendership. Which also, by the way, what the heck is up with Tony Khan basically giving everybody number one contenders matches? Literally, there's like 3 number one contenders for each title. Oh, you get a title shot. You get a title shot. This whole roster gets a title shot. Okay, again, I've stopped. I'm sorry, it's leading me to think of other things. But anyways, so Jon Moxley challenges Darby Allin. And the reason why was because they originally said that Bryan was based off of, the attack at All Out when the BCC turned on Bryan and he put that plastic bag on top of him. That basically, storyline-wise, wrote Bryan off TV, right? So then they have Jon Moxley challenge Darby Allin to put his number one contendership on the line against him at Grand Slam because Bryan wasn't going to be there, right? Well, then you have Nigel McGuinness, like an hour later, challenges Bryan to a match if he can show up. Like, wait, you just established that Bryan is not going to be able to wrestle at Grand Slam. Why are you challenging him to a match? And why are you just taking a title shot away from Darby Allin? It made no sense. Like, had they not have done that, it would have been fine. But also, Nigel McGuinness and Bryan Danielson. So, again, I've only been watching wrestling since 2013. Strictly WWE and AEW. Once in a blue moon, maybe with a friend or so, I'll watch TNA or something else for something different. But strictly WWE and some AEW as what I've been the whole time as a wrestling fan. I don't know the whole story with Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness. But obviously for the promos, there's history. There is a very hot, rich history. Instead of just taking the time to invest in a unique storyline, they just kind of rush to the point. Bryan shows up at Grand Slam, has a good match, and that's it. Like, the way they're building the heat between them, it's like, you should have given this more time. Heck, I'll be honest, well, based off the history, I would have been okay with Nigel McGuinness retiring Bryan Danielson. I guess, I don't know, I feel like I'm going to sound like a hypocrite getting this. But that feud was rushed. Then they randomly gave Kazuchika Okada a title shot on Dynamite the other week with that weird stipulation of Bryan can win the Continental Championship in the first 20 minutes. First off, I'm still very confused also as to why this Continental Championship is treated like a regular singles title. It's a championship for a tournament. So technically, people in the tournament should be winning it. So why does it have to be defended at pay-per-views when we already have plenty of mid-card championships and it's being defended like a regular title? It doesn't feel like a title that needs to be treated like a singles title. It has to be treated like a title that, like, you know, once a year, if you win it, you'll win it or something like that. I don't know. That booking was weird as well. But my point is, they're rushing all these matches, and then they're getting to Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. So I'm trying to watch myself, because I just said before that Nigel McGuinness, I would have been okay with him retiring Bryan. But here's what I think about Jon Moxley. Again, as I said, I am not opposed to him winning the championship again, but it's got to be with the right scenario. My thing is if they, like, this is just getting started for Jon Moxley. This new story, this new character, this new whatever he's doing. And also, too, he would be a 4-time AEW world champion. Out of those 3 title reigns, only one of them has actually been worth a damn. And that's his first title reign, when he was basically the true face of AEW. The second one, I'll give a slide on the second one, because that was meant to set up for Jon Moxley and CM Punk when CM Punk came back from his injury, when they did the thing with the whole interim championships, which that did not work out at all. But then you had that third title reign. And let's be honest, they didn't have to give Moxley the title that third time. I still felt if they were ever going to make Bryan champion, even if it was just brief, they should have done it then whenever Punk had to relinquish the title and have Bryan feud with MJF. Which, of course, they would have the rematch, the match at Revolution. But to me, it felt like they made Jon Moxley kind of like a placeholder. And I feel like that taste hasn't quite worn off. And I feel like he needs the right storyline, I feel like, to kind of like get that mojo back. I know, again, this may not make any sense, but again, it's like you have this new heel character that can't lose, that you eventually want to see him get his comeuppance, and then you have Bryan Danielson, who is going to lose this title to him, and he can't do anything about it. I mean, other than the fact that they're both in WWE together, again, like, that's the difference between him and Nigel. Nigel and Bryan seem to have a more known rivalry. Moxley and Bryan hasn't wrestled each other too much. Yes, they're in the BCC together. Yes, they're in WWE together. But again, I feel like the bond between them is not as special. Like, Bryan Danielson should be somebody, I feel, getting a send-off with, like, either putting over some, like, a next big thing, or, like, a well-known rivalry. Like, again, him and Nigel. Like, it's gotta be like a Shawn and Undertaker ending from WrestleMania 26, is what I'm feeling like. Because with this new character, which, first off, again, they're not gonna have Jon Moxley lose this match. Especially if they're bringing in Shane. And you're gonna want to see Bryan get his comeuppance on Moxley, but he won't be able to because he's gonna be done. And now, I'm hearing stuff also where this could not be his retirement, this could be just his last match as a full-time wrestler. Well then, what's the point of him, you know, saying he's going to be done when he loses the championship if he truly isn't going to be done? You know? Like, again, I would have been okay with Darby Allin doing it. Darby Allin could have been one to retire him. Heck, Kenny Omega. A lot of people were saying they thought maybe Bryan would wait to retire until Kenny Omega gets back. Even though that's not entirely certain. Heck, I'll be honest, I would be okay also if they maybe would have given Claudio the shot. It's just Moxley, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need to have like that extra stamp on him saying, I'm the one who retired Bryan Danielson. I don't know. It just doesn't. To me, it just doesn't quite fit with him winning. Like, okay, you could have had Darby be the one to dethrone Bryan, and then Moxley could have dethroned Darby, or something like that. Because also, we're in Darby Allin's home state as well. Heck, I'll be honest. Even if you wanted to maybe do, if he wasn't hurt, Bryan Danielson, Adam Copeland. They never fought one-on-one before, have they? All match they've had was the triple threat WrestleMania 37. Just like something like a little more unique, a little more special. Like, again, this is literally the start of a new monster heel character. And he's about to rip the championship and the career of someone that's not going to be able to get their comeuppance. I don't know. Like the more I say this, the more I wonder if I'm sounding like a hypocrite by saying this. But to me, like, something just doesn't feel right with this. Something that does not feel right with Jon Moxley being the one to dethrone Bryan Danielson. I feel like, again, it has to be like something a little bit more meaningful. Because, you know, Jon Moxley's not going to shake Bryan Danielson's hand. Well, okay, neither would have been Nigel McGuinness. But again, they have a history. They have a long rivalry. This really isn't a long rivalry. They've had 2 matches, but they weren't really like, they weren't like stuff that like pops out and you guys remember, like, again, a Nigel and a Bryan or whatnot. I don't know. Or like, heck, they could have had Swerve win the title back from him here. I don't know. Like I said, I might be just overthinking this. I just don't think Jon Moxley should be the one to end Bryan's career. Like I said, this should have like a Shawn Michaels feel from WrestleMania 26. And it's not. Instead, it's basically going to be just some monster heel just getting started in this new role, taking out the beloved champion who's retiring, and he's never going to be able to get his revenge. That just doesn't sit well with me. I think that's probably the biggest problem there, is the fact that, again, this is just getting started. There's no way Moxley can lose this, and Bryan's never going to get his comeuppance. It's kind of like a TV show that gets canceled when the last episode was a cliffhanger, such as that 90s show on Netflix. I'm a little bitter about that, I'm not going to lie. Like, again, like you don't get to see the finish. You were left hanging, but like you want to see more. It's just not a satisfying. I guess that's what it feels to be. Moxley being the one with the position he's in right now, it just doesn't feel like a satisfying ending to a career for me. It just doesn't. So, again, like I said, I have nothing against Jon Moxley. I think in this role, yes, he would be an excellent heel champion to put over a massive babyface someday. Again, it's just, I just don't think he's in the position right now to have the proper send-off story for Bryan Danielson. But again, that's just me. That's just my opinion. Now, as far as I am going to try to watch this match on Saturday live, I don't know if I will purchase the pay-per-view. Normally, me and my one buddy, who we all know as Penta L. Miller, normally split pay-per-views if we watch them. To be honest, again, this card for Wrestledream is not that interesting. I'm only interested in this match and the triple threat match for the International Championship with Ospreay, Ricochet, and Takeshita. That's the only 2 matches I'm interested in. Heck, there's another match right there you could have done. Bryan Danielson and Takeshita. I mean, we already did Bryan and Will Ospreay. You could do Bryan and Ricochet. I think they're at a match, but you know, I understand, you know, they probably would want Bryan to end his career in his home state of Washington. Again, I just wish it was a different circumstance. I just wish it was a little bit of a more satisfying ending than just him having this new monster come at him, take the title off of him, and he'll never be able to get his comeuppance. I don't like how that sits with me, if I'm being honest. That just bothered me, because that's just not a satisfying ending to me. But again, it's just my opinion. You may think differently. So what do you guys think? Do you think Jon Moxley is the right person to end Bryan Danielson's career? Leave your guys' thoughts again down in the comment section below. Again, I may be live here on Saturday watching this match. And if I do watch it, I will do live reactions for this. Make sure you guys slap a like on the video, subscribe for more content on my channel, follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93. You may also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And yes, next week I will also do another video talking more so about Tony Khan and how I think he's slowly starting to become his own worst enemy. So until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. Have a great rest of your night. Do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself, and that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!